another one of those practical ones, kind of like the health one that we looked at and the team building one we talked about yesterday. So today we're just talking about taking care of yourself. Now, the stuff we're going to talk about is probably not going to take very long, and it is real basic. But your life has changed. It has really changed since you finished high school. So we're going to just look at some of the practical basics of life, because this is another one of those soft skills that is going to help you in your life and in your career. So you're an adult now. You're not a little kid, okay? You're not a child. You're not in a children's home. You're not in a boarding school. You're in transition. You are in the key years of transition from being at home with your parents or being in boarding school, being in a children's home, that kind of thing, where basically decisions are made for you. The rules are made for you. You're told what to do. You may be told what time to go to bed. You're told what time you have to get up. You were told a lot of things when you were in school, right? There were a lot of regulations. There were regulations about what you wore and what time you had to be in class and what you had to bring to class. I mean, there were a lot of rules. Now, you're learning to be independent. You're learning to be independent of your parents. You're not totally independent yet, but you're moving in that direction. And even here at Nana's house, that's what this is about. You're going from being a child to an adult, but that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen just because you turn 18 or because you turn 21. It has to do with your own maturity. How mature are you? And again, that's not just in your body. That's in your character. That's in your work. That's in your thinking. That's in your values. Because to be on your own, you're having to take responsibility for yourself. You're even preparing to take responsibility for others, for when you get married, when you have children. So you're in transition. And the better you do at this, the better your transition, maybe even the quicker your transition, as you learn to take more responsibility for yourself. Does that make sense? And the skills we're talking about in this, it's not just you at home making your bed. But again, these are soft skills that if you know how to take care of yourself, then you're going to do a good job of that probably the rest of your life. And if you know how to take care of yourself at home, then you're probably going to do a good job of taking care of yourself at the office. And the opposite's true. If you can't manage your own stuff at home, then when you're out in the world, how are you going to do? So let's just talk about some of these practical areas. Part of taking care of yourself is taking care of cleaning your own home, organizing your own stuff, caring for your clothes and your bedding, repairing clothes, shopping wisely, preparing your own meals, caring for your teeth and gadgets. I mean, it's taking care of yourself and your stuff, okay? So let's kind of break this down and look at it. First of all, organizing your own stuff. You know, you may be at home and your mom tells you, you know, here's where you put your shoes. Here's where you hang your clothes. I tell you where to put those dirty shoes that keep piling up outside Nana's house. I've given you little boxes to sort your stuff in so that you know where your stuff is. But it's up to you whether you do that or not. You can throw your stuff under the bed. You can leave it piled up on the floor. You can have it kind of here or there where it's kind of like, some people, wherever they take the clothes off, then that's where they are. If it's on the floor, it's on the floor. If it's in the bathroom, it's in the bathroom. I mean, wherever it drops. Or maybe when you come in, if you have a cup, you just set it down wherever. If you have keys, you just put them down wherever. Well, there's several problems with that, and I think we touched on this when you were looking at time, because this impacts your time a lot. I'm not saying this just because I like to be organized, although I do like to be organized. But it's about, first of all, it's about being a good steward. God has blessed you with everything you have. He's blessed you with your shoes. He's blessed you with your clothes. He's blessed you with dishes or cell phones or whatever you've got. He's blessed you with that stuff. And because He's given it to you, you're supposed to be a good steward. A steward is a servant, someone who takes care of what the master has given him. If you have a house girl, the house girl is a steward. She's supposed to take care of the house. She's supposed to take care of the dishes or the clothes, whatever the master has told her to do. But you see, we're all stewards. If you're a Christian, then you understand that everything you have was a gift from God. And guess what? If He gives us something, He expects us to take care of it. Some of you have made comments about some of the stuff I have here in the house. I have some things here in the house that are over 100 years old. You think, 100 years old? How do you have stuff that's over 100 years old? Well, it's because my great-grandparents took care of it and gave it to my grandparents, and they took care of it and gave it to my parents, and my parents took care of it and gave it to me. So guess what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to take care of it. I'm not going to live that long. I'm not going to live another 100 years. But I don't want to just break it so that we have nothing, and when I die, then whether it's my kids or you kids, there's nothing there. So we're supposed to be a good steward of what God has given us. Also, Jesus was organized. He didn't own a lot of stuff, but he did take care of what he had. One of the stories in the Bible that I like is the one where he multiplied the fish and the bread. You remember that one? The people were hungry, and Jesus works a miracle, and He multiplies the fish and the bread. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of people would say, hey, if you can multiply fish and bread, then you never have to worry about being hungry again. I mean, when you need more, you just multiply. You just multiply. Now, that's not what Jesus did, number one. But number two, what fascinates me about the story is that when everybody had eaten as much as they could, there was still 12 big basketfuls. Big bag, they use big baskets, Emily, kind of like our laundry baskets, So if you have 12 baskets of fish and bread, you got a lot of leftover food. And he could have said, hey, you're full. Just throw it on the ground. Let the birds have it. Let the cats get the fish. But he didn't. He had the disciples to gather up those baskets of food. Jesus is very organized. He was very organized in himself. He was very organized in his ministry. Do you know that when he rose from the dead, if you read the stories in the Gospels about the resurrection, you know, when you had a dead body, you wrapped them in cloth. And then there was like a napkin, we call it a serviette, that you would put over the face. Do you know it says that when Jesus rose from the dead, the napkin was folded and placed there on the rock that he was lying on? So even when Jesus rose from the dead, he folded the napkin. You know, we're people, we're not pigs. Pigs are messy. I don't know if you've ever had pigs. When I was growing up on the Shamba, we had some pigs. Oh my gosh, they're smelly, they're dirty. They just roll in the mud. They don't care if they've got mud all over them. You know, they're just, and that's why we talk about people being as messy as a pig, because it's hard to find an animal that's as messy as a pig. Well, we're people, we're not pigs. And so we shouldn't just throw everything around, leave dirty food everywhere, rotting, and all of that kind of stuff. You know, if someone came unexpectedly to visit you, how would your place look? Now, I'm proud to say I had some guests yesterday here, and they had never visited us here. So they wanted to see the house. They wanted to see Nana's house. So I took them on a tour, Kevin. They went in your bedroom. They went in the girls' bedroom. And I'm glad to say it looked pretty good. Pretty good. It really did. But you know, what if I took them in there and there was clothes all over the floor and papers everywhere and food, and that would have been really bad. You know, again, it's not just here, but if you don't know how to organize your stuff, then what about when you have an office at work? What about when you have a desk? Have you ever gone to somebody's office somewhere and they've just got papers everywhere, and they've got a old dirty coffee cup, and they've got pens laying everywhere, and you're just like, oh my God, how is this person doing any work? And if they're the one taking care of my important papers, are they going to be able to find them again? I'll never forget when we were first here. Now, they've gotten more organized now, and they're even getting computerized. But 14 years ago, when Les and I came to Kenya, and we had to fill out the papers for visas and for us to be able to stay here. And I'll never forget, they said they were missing some papers. And we had filled out the forms, we had given them the papers. So we go back downtown to City Center to Nyayo House. That's the great big yellow building there that you can kind of see from Uhuru Park. And they sent us to like several offices. They sent us to this office. No, they didn't have the papers. They sent us to, no, they didn't have the papers. Finally, they sent us to this room, and they said, okay, all the papers are in this room. They opened the door. Now, the room was smaller than this, but the entire room was just stacks of paper that went from the floor to the ceiling. And they were not in any order. They were not in alphabetical order. They were not in date order. I mean, we stood there and said, you are never gonna find the paper. Are you kidding me? I don't even know how they expected to find it. So you don't look professional if you're doing that at a job. My mom had a saying, a place for everything and everything in its place. Now, poor Emily is still learning this in the kitchen, because there's a place for everything. And everything should be in its place, but it's a lot of stuff, isn't it, Emily? So it's a lot of stuff to learn where every spoon and every knife and every cup and all that stuff goes. But it helps because if there's a place, if we know that this is the place that the big spoons go, and if every time the dishes are washed and dried, and the spoons go back there, then when Jerry needs the big spoon, or I need a big spoon, or Mercy A is baking and she needs a big spoon, we know exactly where to go, right? We're not going through every cabinet. We're not looking in every drawer. We're not looking all over the kitchen trying to find a big spoon, because this is where they live. So if you put things back to that special place where it lives, you have no trouble finding it the next time. You see, this is a huge time saver. I mean, there are people I know that just put anything anywhere. The food in the refrigerator is just anywhere. The stuff in the kitchen is just anywhere. The clothes in their closet is just anywhere. The stuff in their room is all over. And they spend hours looking for what they need because there's no telling. I mean, there's no telling where it is. It might be in this room. It might be in that room. It could be on this shelf. It could be under the bed. I mean, who knows? Something that's very simple to just have a place for it and put it there. It also creates space. When your stuff is organized, you create space, whether it's for the socks or the pants or the shirts or the books, whatever it is. And you're able to use what you have. This is a nice picture, Emily, of your room. See, we have nice shelves. Each person has their own drawers and their own shelves, and they know where their stuff is. I think you do. You guys are pretty organized. And the boys are organized. So that saves a lot of time. And again, it's a simple principle, but it's the difference between being a child who doesn't put their stuff away, or they only put their stuff away when their mom yells at them and tells them to put their stuff away, or when you're acting as an adult. You're being a good steward. You're taking care of the stuff that God's given you. You have a plan. You've put the stuff where it belongs. You're able to find it very quickly when you need it. And that's a skill that's going to carry over from your private life to your business life. Well, what about cleaning? You know, I'm not going to do a seminar on how to clean. But there's a different way to clean floors than cabinets. There's a different way to clean showers than toilets. There's a standard of sanitation. Jerry knows this from the hospitality industry. There's a way to clean a kitchen. There's a way to clean dishes that's going to get them clean. And the purpose of that is, again, going back to what we learned about health, to eliminate the spread of disease, viruses, bacteria that could make you sick. Or if one person in the family has the flu, it helps not spread it to everybody. So whether it's cleaning beds, whether it's cleaning fabric, whether it's just removing garbage, whether that garbage is paper or food. You know, one of the problems we were having was if we threw the food and the papers and just everything, all the taka in the bin, then when we put the garbage outside, cats, dogs, birds all kinds of animals would get into it and dump it over, right, Kevin? Make a big mess. But we decided, okay, we're going to put all the food, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the food. We're going to dig a pit, and we're going to have all that food out there in the pit, which is going to decompose and go back into the soil and enrich the soil. But until it does, the dogs and the cats and the birds can go out there and eat, and they'll leave the paper garbage alone because they're not interested in paper. It's important to keep your room, or later when you have a home, clean. It's very important, mainly because of disease. Because even dust, you might think, well, it's just dust. But dust has a lot of hidden spores, pollen, especially things from the environment in it, which causes allergies. So if you're having trouble with allergies, you need to live in a cleaner environment where you don't have so much dust on the floor or dust on your bedding, dust on the furniture, that it's causing you to be inflamed and sick. What about caring for your own clothes? How often do you wash your clothes? When do you wash the clothes? Some people wash their clothes every time after they wear them. And a lot of your clothes probably need, your socks are going to be stinky, your underwear is going to be stinky. If you've been, depending on where you've been walking or working, then your dress, your pants, your shirt may be very dirty from just sweat, pollution, dust. So you may have to wash them every time after you wear them. If you're working inside, if you're sitting at a desk, if you're sitting at a computer all day long, then your outer clothes may not be that dirty. Personally, I have 2 tests. If you can see the dirt or if you can smell it, it needs to be washed. If you can hold it up and it looks clean and you smell it everywhere and it doesn't smell, then wear it again before you wash it. Whether you hand wash or you machine wash, whether you dry your clothes in a dryer or you hang them out in the sun. Some of your clothes need to be ironed, but some of them don't. But if you hang them, fold them, store them after they've been cleaned, again, you're preserving your clothes. People who I knew someone who honestly, they would wear their underwear and throw it away and go buy another pair of underwear. It was like, you don't wash your underwear. You have to have a lot of money to do that. Let me tell you what, a lot of money. That is just crazy. Because, eventually your underwear is going to wear out and you need to replace it, but you can certainly wear it for a while before you get holes in it and need to replace it. One thing I am amazed at here in Kenya is how well you take care of shoes. I have never seen people in my life take care of shoes like you do. But that's how we ought to be taking care of everything. You wear it, you come home, the shoes are dusty and muddy. So you leave them outside until you can clean them before you bring them in. That's great. Because the better care we give of them, Not only then do we have the clothes, we've washed them, we've dried them, we've folded them, we've hung them, we've ironed them, whatever, and now they're ready for the next time we need them. Again, we're not looking for them. We don't find it, but it's dirty. We don't find it, but it's wrinkled, and now I don't have time to iron it before I have to get to that job interview. It's ready. It's ready to go. Now, it's important to learn at least some basic repairs. Here at Nana's house, Jerry, do you remember the class Miss Polly had teaching all you guys some sewing basics? Just how to sew on a button, how to sew a seam. That's helpful because you know what? You guys may be on your own for a few years before you get married and you have a wife to do that for you. And again, you need to look sharp. You want to look sharp if you're working, if you're going to an office or whatever you're doing. You want to look nice, right? But if your clothes have tears in them, let me tell you what, if you get a small tear, I know this is going to surprise you, but that tear is not going to disappear. Do you know what happens to a small tear? It gets bigger. A small tear. So when you wear it, when you wash it, that tear is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't even wear those clothes anymore unless it gets fixed. So the quicker you fix it, the better it's going to last. So I would encourage you, if you don't know how to make small repairs with just a needle and a thread, you don't even need a sewing machine. You just need one little needle and some basic thread to fix small things. Come, Mercy J will show you. Maybe we'll need to have another little sewing class just to help you learn basics. Because to take it to a tailor, to take it to someone else, it's just going to cost you money. It's going to cost you money that you may not have. And it would take you less than 15 minutes to fix it yourself. So think about that. That's a picture of the guys learning to sew around the table in that sewing class. What about shopping wisely? You know, does your mother ever send you to the store and ask you to get a bag of lentils? And you go in the store, and if you go to any of the stores like I do, I mean, like, I didn't know there were so many different kinds of lentils, number one. So here's all these different kinds of lentils. But also, if you just grab a bag of lentils, you may pay a lot more money than if you just take 1 minute and look at the prices on the shelf. Because they're not all the same. You need to look at the quantity that you need. You need to look at the quality. But you want to pay the least amount of money for the most food. And so you've got to take a few minutes to compare. I know you guys think I'm rich, but let me tell you what, Jerry knows this. I go for the bargains, especially now that prices have gone so high. We need to find the best bargain. And when I shop, I'll look and I'll say, well, okay, this bottle of chili sauce is $1.50. And here's another bottle of chili sauce that tastes just the same. It's a different brand, but it's $120. And here's another chili sauce, and it's on sale this week for $99. Guess which one I'm buying? But if you don't look at it, you might just grab the one that's $150. And you just took 51 shillings and threw it down the toilet because you didn't take the time to comparison shop. You know, saving money is as good as making money. For a number of years, my husband was working, and we had 4 kids to feed, and I was not working. I was home with all the little kids. And I felt guilty about it at first because I wasn't making any money. But I found that I could be helpful as a wife and a mother if I saved as much money as I could. So that was my part. We talked about partnership in a marriage. So my part was saving money. And I that has kind of stuck with us, Jerry. I'm the saver. I'm always trying to save because you know what? If you may only save 2 shillings here and 10 shillings there, but pretty soon you got a lot of money. Pretty soon it's added up. Try to plan ahead. When you go shopping, if you have to have it right now, that can create problems. You know, Mercy A does baking. And so a common thing that she needs is strawberries. But she doesn't need strawberries every week. And I don't want to buy the strawberries if she doesn't need them because they're going to ruin. But sometimes we suddenly get a cake order and she needs strawberries. So I go to the store. And because I got to go over here, Nivas is the only grocery store that's closed that has strawberries. I'm going to have to pay whatever the price is for strawberries. Now, fortunately, usually, Nivas has the strawberries at the lowest price that I've found anywhere. But not always. So when you need toilet paper and you are completely out of toilet paper, so you go over there and you've just got to buy toilet paper, oh my gosh, you may get really stuck with the price of toilet paper now. Whereas if you plan ahead and you buy it when it's on sale, that helps. What about preparing your own meals? You know, one of the things here at Nana's house that I really appreciate is that every one of the kids here helps. Boys and girls. All of them know how to cook. So the meals are not real complicated. They're easy meals, fairly quick meals. We try to make inexpensive meals, but that are still nutritious. But a lot of that, it depends on their skills of being willing to do the work and able to do the work. Because let me tell you what, again, guys, you're not always going to have a mother or a wife to cook for you. And if you eat out all the time, oh my gosh, eating out costs a lot more than eating at home. Because you're paying for somebody else's labor. You're paying for more for foodstuffs. It costs a lot to eat out. You know, I had 3 sons and 1 daughter. One of my sons has passed away. But the other 2 sons are married. And they're married to wonderful women. But both of those women work. In fact, both of those women work more hours than my sons. So guess who the main cooks are at their house? It's the sons. It's not the women. It's usually the boys who do the cooking. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that they're willing to do that. They're not just sitting in a chair watching TV waiting for their wife who's worked and worked and worked and worked and worked more hours than they have. They're not waiting for her to come home and then cook dinner. So learn how to cook. Again, if you need some pointers, you just come over here and any of the kids here can give you some pointers. Now, Jerry, he cooks expensive, nice, gourmet food. So you may not want to go to him for cooking lessons, unless you have a lot of money. But, Jerry knows how to do it right. And the other thing that's going to really be important in saving you money is correctly storing the food. Because again, if it's supposed to be refrigerated and you don't, it's going to ruin immediately or very quickly. If you don't put it in an airtight container, the air will hurt the food. Bugs can get into the food, ants can get into the food, rats can get into the food. You attract cockroaches and all kinds of bad things. So learn how to correctly store your food. Taking care of your bedding. This may sound really absurd to say, but one thing I learned that I needed to say to the kids here was, when you make your bed, you have a sheet, you have another sheet, then you have all your blankets, however cold it is, on top. But you need to sleep between the two sheets. I had to tell you guys this, didn't I, Kevin? Sleep between the two sheets. Why? Because the two sheets are easy and smaller to take off and wash. And they need to be washed usually once a week. If for some reason you don't have water and you have to push it to 2 weeks, okay, but boy, don't do it longer than that. Because do you know, we didn't talk about this when we talked about health, but it's just one of those facts of the human body. It doesn't matter how often you take a shower. It doesn't matter how clean you are. Every one of us are shedding. It's at least thousands, if not millions. I would have to look that up. How many cells we're shedding every day. And especially when you sleep, those skin cells are shedding onto the sheets. And there are little bitty microscopic bugs called mites that come and eat your dead skin on those sheets. Now, if nothing else, that should make you want to go home and wash your sheets, okay? Because you may not be able to see those little bugs, but they're there. And again, they can cause disease. So wash your sheets. The blankets, because they're on top of the sheets, except for dust that may come in, or if you spill something on the blankets, they don't need to be washed very often. Maybe once or twice a year if you're washing your sheets. Because it's your sheets and your pillowcase that are touching your body that get dirty and need to be washed. There's Jessica making her bed. Of course, what about caring for your gadgets? Now, I would say, of everything I've talked about, I bet you take better care of your gadgets than anything else. Because those gadgets cost you a lot of money, don't they? To buy that cell phone, even the charging cords and the wires. Take care of them. You know, if you go to unplug something like this and you pull it by the wire here, it will break before very long. Because you're putting the stress here on the cord part rather than the head. If you pull the head, then it's not going to pull this cord out of the head. Most cords break because we're pulling them back here, not here. So it's little things like that, and even those wires cost a bunch of money, right? What about cleaning and protecting your screens? Whether it's the screen on a computer or an iPad or your phone. If you don't have a protective screen on that, or if you don't keep it clean, it gets scratched, it gets broken, until you can't even use it. Remember that you can't just use regular water when you're cleaning a phone or a computer. You can damage the screen doing that. So don't do that. Obviously, dropping it is a problem. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were going to send money to their mother up country who really needed some money. And they hadn't, fortunately, they had been delayed, and they hadn't sent the money yet when they got a message from the mom saying that she had dropped her phone down the toilet. Well, it wasn't the toilet in the house. I think it was the latrine outside. So we can safely say that phone was no longer usable. It was gone. Even something simple like this is an external hard drive on the computer. If you have an external hard drive on a computer, you can't just pull it out. Even if you do it by the head, if you pull that out, it's not going to be long before that hard drive doesn't work. You need to go to the right button on your computer and eject the external hard drive. Then you can unplug it. So it's little things like that. Whatever your gadget is, read the instructions. We talked about reading the instructions on medicine. Read the instructions for your cell phones so that you know how to clean it, what to clean it with, how to protect it. And of course, protecting it from getting stolen. I think we've all had at least one phone stolen. I don't want to have any more stolen. That's an expensive problem, right? Okay, last thing, taking care of your teeth. You know, I did not put this under health. I probably should have, but to be honest with you, I didn't think of it at the time. But taking care of your teeth is one of those really basic things. It's even more basic than the health stuff we talked about before. And I say that because I think all of us know we're supposed to take care of our teeth, right? And I'll tell you one great thing about your teeth. Jonathan was interested in maybe becoming a dentist. Here's something great about teeth. It is the one thing in your body, I won't say that you have complete control over, because there are some hereditary factors. Because there are diseases of the mouth, the gums, the teeth, that will run in a family. You know, some families just have crummy teeth. They're crummy teeth. They're not strong. So if that's you, well, you couldn't help that part. Or if you come from a family that has bad gums, where you get gum disease easily, well, you're going to have to be extra careful on that one. But again, that's not your fault. But most of the issues with our teeth, we could take care of. And if we take care of them properly, we won't have the problem. So you need to brush your teeth, not just once a day, but especially in the morning when you wake up, because there's been a lot of germs working in there overnight, a lot of bacteria, and nobody wants to smell your bad breath all day long. And you need to brush before you go to bed, because while you're sleeping, if you have left food particles in your teeth, that's when your teeth are really going to get decayed. Because you're going to be sleeping for how many hours, and the whole time you're sleeping, that food is eating into your teeth or causing an infection in the gums. So you need to brush in the morning and at night. Now, if you're already having especially gum problems, then the dentist may tell you that you have to brush every time you eat. So lunch, snacks, whatever, you may have to brush all the time. Flossing. Do you know what flossing is? Do you floss? Okay. When I was growing up, all I heard about was brushing my teeth. And I admit, nobody explained this to me. This is real simple. But you know what? Nobody explained it to me. You know, my grandmother just said, brush your teeth. And you know what? I didn't want to brush my teeth. So I wouldn't. I can't even tell you how many cavities I had in my teeth. I mean, every time I went to the dentist, I had more cavities. Finally, I learned there was a reason I was supposed to be brushing my teeth. But even when I learned about brushing my teeth, there was no such thing as flossing. I never heard about flossing. I don't think they had discovered flossing, Jerry. I never saw floss. Nobody in my family flossed. I think it just didn't exist back then. But floss is like a little string. You can buy a little plastic container and you pull the string out, cut it. It has a little cutter on there. I should have brought some. And you cut it, and then you use that string to go in between all your teeth. And what it does is, you see, not all the teeth, all the food, the particles, they call it tartar and plaque, that builds up on your teeth, not all of it is on the outside of the tooth or the inside of the tooth or on top of the tooth. A lot of it is stuck between your teeth. And I know that Kenyans love toothpicks, and I use a toothpick when I have to, but actually toothpicks can cause damage to the teeth. So it's better to floss. But you just floss with that little string, and it gets the food particles out from between your teeth. And if you do it properly, it helps you to not get gum disease, because it's also, it's kind of massaging and cleaning your gums at the same time, getting all that bacteria out so that, again, you don't get cavities and other problems with your teeth. Now, you're also supposed to have cleanings. A dentist will tell you that you should go to the dentist every 6 months and have a cleaning. I know some of you have never been to a dentist so far in your life. And I know that because of the kids here at Nana's house. I went to the dentist on Wednesday. That's why I wasn't here in class with you. I had to go to the dentist and have a cleaning because I don't want to have problems with my teeth. You know, I told you that I only got these 2 eyeballs that have to last me my whole life. And I want them to last, and I don't want to be blind before I die. Well, I only get these teeth. Now, you can get fake teeth. They can go in there and put fake teeth, but that's very expensive and very difficult. And I don't want those teeth. I want these teeth. So I'm trying to take care of them. So I went in there and had a cleaning, and I am proud to say that they said I had very little tartar buildup, very little plaque. They just polished it up, and I didn't have any bleeding gums. If you brush your teeth or floss and there's blood, you've already got an infection going on in your gums. And you can lose all the teeth in your head and either get new teeth or eat baby food and milk for the rest of your life. That is not a good choice. Also, and I did not know this until recently, but there's a very serious heart condition that can kill you. And do you know one of the things that can cause that infection in your heart? Having a cavity in your teeth that you don't go to the dentist and take care of. So it's very important. I don't know, Jerry, when I did the teaching on the other videos, did I share the story about the guy that didn't go to the dentist? Did I share that story? Okay, let me share this story real quick. My parents bought a house one time, and it was a big, beautiful, expensive house that was right on a river near the ocean in Florida. And when they bought the house, they were buying it because the lady who lived there had just died. And her husband was selling the house because he didn't need that huge, expensive house. But he told them the story of how his wife got that house. Before she had married this man, she had been married to another man, and she had been very, very, very poor. So poor that they lived, in a little shack, like you would see in the slums. Well, the husband was always saying he didn't have money, he didn't have money for anything, and she didn't have money. Well, he got a toothache. I don't know if it was a cavity or he needed a root canal or what, but he got something wrong. He got some kind of infection in his teeth. And she said, "You need to go to the dentist." And he said, "No, I'm not spending the money going to a dentist." He died. He died from not going to the dentist to take care of that tooth. Well, after he had died, now she's really, you know what it's like for women. If their husband died, now they're on their own. Now they have no income. Now what is she supposed to do? And so a bill collector came to her door one day and said, "Your husband, I know he's dead, but your husband owed me money, and I need to be paid." And she said, "I don't have money." He goes, "Don't lie to me. I know you've got plenty of money." And she's like, "I do not have plenty of money. I don't have any money." He said, "Yes, you do. Every time I came here to get paid, your husband would go out to that little shack in the back of your house, and he had a big safe out there where he kept all the money." She said, "What?" So she goes out there, and guess what she finds? Have you ever seen a safe to put money in? A lot of safes that you have at your home are like this big. They're like a box, and it's locked, and it's kind of heavy. But you can put your money and stuff in there to keep thieves from stealing it. This was a safe that was almost as tall as I am. I know this because I had the safe for a while. I got it later, years later. This safe was like this tall, about this deep, about this wide. It was bigger than that wooden table back there. Much bigger than that. And it weighed a ton. You couldn't move it, you couldn't push it, you sure couldn't pick it up and steal it. So it was a good safe to keep money in. So she finds that safe out there. Now, she didn't have a combination. I guess she had to call a locksmith to come who could figure out how to open it. And when they opened that safe, she was a millionaire. Not a millionaire in Kenya, a millionaire in the US, which means she had more than 100 million. Her husband had been saving money, always saying he didn't have any money because he was putting it in that safe. He even saved all that money and wouldn't go to the dentist. And he died. But he left her a very wealthy woman. So she got a new husband. She bought a new big house. She bought a big car. And she lived great the rest of her life till she died. And when she died, then this second husband was selling the house. My parents bought the house, even got the safe, and gave the safe to me. But I've never forgotten that. How foolish can you be to have all that money, not go to the dentist, and lose your life? So let me encourage you, if you are having bleeding in your gums, if your tooth is hurting, then it's hurting because there's a decay, it's hurting because there's a crack, it's hurting because you need an extraction or a root canal, but it's not going to go away. It's kind of like the tear in the clothes. Let me assure you, it's not going to just disappear. It's going to get worse until you are in severe pain or even dead. So taking care of our teeth is very important. So I just want to encourage you, because these things, again, I said they're basic, they're easy. We're talking about washing your clothes, organizing your stuff, taking care of your teeth. But all of these things are going to impact your future. They're going to impact your appearance. They're going to impact even your success. I have known people, again, I've known people who were very, very smart, very skilled, but they didn't take care of themselves. When you were around them, they smelled. They smelled because they didn't brush their teeth. They smelled because they didn't take a shower. They smelled because they wore the same dirty clothes day after day. Guess what? Who do you think is going to hire them? Who do you think is going to hire them to work in an office, to work at a computer, to service the community, to service customers, to work at a restaurant? Is anybody going to hire them? No. Just because they don't know how to take care of themselves, don't know how to stay clean, don't know how to take care of their clothes, not taking care of their bad breath, their teeth. It's a soft skill. They got a bunch of great hard skills, but the soft skill will defeat them. Don't be like that.